It's undeniable that the most important thing when producing audio and music is to use your ears. But in a world that is increasingly more competitive, and with all the different deliverables and formats that we need to work with, it's undeniable as well that we need meters. But you'll be surprised about how hard it is to find
the perfect meter.
Let's talk about this. I'm Jorge Lanzas, and now we break it down, baby. Alright, my friend, thank you so much for being here once again in another video. And like I was saying in the intro, I feel like nowadays it's more important than ever to have great metering. And yes, I understand that there's no debate that the most important thing is what you hear, and that we shouldn't really rely on crutches or aids to help us determine what we're hearing. But the reality is that we're humans after all. And in a fast-paced industry like the music industry, confidence is key. More than anything, it's because thanks to confidence is that we're able to make crucial decisions quickly. And if you're anything like me,
you probably learned through pain
that it's better to check twice and cut once than check once and cut twice. But without anything else to say, let's stop the talking, get to the rocking, and check some meters. So here we are in Pro Tools, my friend, and today we have a little bit of an array of different kind of meters that I could find either in my plugins or that I found on the internet that kind of like piqued my interest. And I'm going to preface this by saying I did not find the perfect meter. I did not know how picky I was going to be with meters. But whatever, I'm yapping. Let's go to the first plugin. The first one that I'm going to do, and I'm not going to waste any time in that one, is just the one that comes with Pro Tools, this one called Master Meter. And for that, my friend, I'm going to be using one of my original songs, composed, produced, performed by me. In case YouTube AI is listening, this is my song. And if Hexacorp comes and claims that it's theirs, it's not. Like, there's hardly anything to even see there. Yeah, maybe it's showing you some clipping, and since I see that it's oversampling, I assume that it's showing you intersample clipping too. But honestly, let me know in the comment section who needs this kind of meter. Is it you? Definitely not me. And now let's go to one of the really most used meters that I've seen. Like, I mean, so many videos on YouTube for like the past 10 years have had this meter, trying to sort of like show you what's happening in the audio, but
let's have a look.
There it is, the almighty Waves Pass Analyzer. I've seen this plugin in so many sessions,
but just look at it.
The information that you can get from it is like very limited actually. Maybe the best thing that it does is that it shows you everything that is out of phase. But the frequency analyzer, like, it's barely any information at all. Let's just see. I'm not gonna lie, like, everything that's important is there. Like, you can see, for example, the predominant mid-range things that you have, and it gives you an idea of like the slope that you're supposed to be aiming for. And the peaks are okay, but I wish it had like a hold or something. And honestly, let's not kid ourselves, this thing looks ancient. Okay, since I mentioned the pass, I was just saying, like, the meters are actually pretty good. Just look at them, they work pretty good. And even though it's giving me numbers out here, I feel like those are not really accurate because it's just giving you maybe like an intersample clip or something. I don't know. The fact that I'm insecure about the meter basically defeats the whole purpose of having a meter. So that's why I don't use this one. But I think it's an important mention. And if you don't have anything else, I feel like at least you have this.
Next meter.
Okay, now sticking with waves. The WLM Plus looks like a super comprehensive meter, but I don't know. It's just so convoluted. I don't even know what to do with it. You know what I mean? Just look at it. Like, what are we supposed to do with these things? I mean, like, you're supposed to change the targets, and then there's all these weightings, which is cool if you work with TV and video or whatever. But in my case, this is just like way too much information that I don't need. And I just get lost in the sauce. I don't even know what I'm reading. So for the information that I need, this is definitely not the meter. What meter do you use, my friend? I'm super curious to hear that, because ever since I'm in this quest, I noticed that there's not one meter that does the things that I like. They all fall short somewhere. But you know, there are solutions out there. In my case, I actually used an outboard version, the TC Electronic Clarity M, I think. And I really trust that thing. Like, the ballistics are so nice. It's very easy to read. But you know, it's a little bit small. And to show it to you, I will have to have another camera. But I'm super curious to know which one you use, my friend. Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're there, remember to like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube. And enjoy this little bossa nova, my friend. I hope your day keeps getting better and better and better. Alright, let's keep checking plugins. This next meter is not flashy or anything, but man, it is important to use it. The Simple VU Meter by Waves. It's just such a simple plugin, but that's what makes it genius. You basically just select your headroom of preference, and when you start bringing faders up, you make sure that you're just hitting that target. Why do I feel like the VU meters have a very nice utility? It's because they're very sensitive to bass frequencies. So in my case, I put it as the first plugin in my mix bus because I want to make sure that in every mix, every single plugin in my chain is being hit right at the sweet spot where I already determined that I like the way they sound. So let's see, for example, what happens. So I already know, for example, in this case that I decided that I wanted to go for a 14 dBs of headroom. So let's say if I'm building my own mix and I'm pushing faders, that's what I'm going to be aiming for, knowing that the VU meter is going to react more to the bass frequencies than to the high frequencies. Let me show you an example. Right now, let's say if I just play the top percussion. We're barely kissing that needle. But I wouldn't say that that sounds quiet at all, right? But what happens when I choose this instead and I just choose the bass? Basically all of our headroom. And then what happens if I add the drums to that? So the VU meter is going to allow me to know my relationship with bass and kick and build my whole mix with that. Okay, the next meter is the meter that I've been using for the videos because it's just a collection of great things. Let me show you. The Doro meter by Waves, in my opinion, is the simplest, easiest to read, nicest looking, most functional meter that I found for myself right now at least. Of course, with a few caveats because it's not perfect like I've been saying, but let's just check it out first. It's very cool because we have a little bit of sort of like what's happening with the VU, right? We have our red area right here because we set it up right here in our reference. And you can set different ones. That's also cool, right? Allowing you to focus on different parts of your peak area, right? And like, for example, you know that this is like your RMS levels and that they're sort of like reacting like the VU, where the bass frequencies are going to govern this. But then you see how big your peaks are. And in this production, for example, we have at least 6 dBs of crest factor right now in the instrumental. Then what we can do is change this peak meter to auto. So that we can see how our peaks are reacting through time and not just what our loudest peak was at any given point. So this is very cool. And on top of that, you know, you can do this. So depending on the screen layout that you're using, it's going to come really handy. In my case, this is what I do, right? And if you've seen my videos in the past, you know that this is what I do, right? I hide it right here. Then I open whatever plugin I'm trying to show you, like this, for example, and we just see what it's doing. And that's part of the reasons why I like it, because I can just put it right there where I need it. Read it. It's very easy. I have every single decibel right here. It's like very bright. It looks good on the videos. But what's the big problem? It's that basically what makes it easy to read is that it's in 1 dB increments, but 1 dB has a lot of space and I want to know what's happening there, right? Up to maybe 0.1 dB sometimes. Next plugin, the Abbey Road TG meter bridge. I mean, honestly, I didn't even know I had this one, but I found it maybe like a couple months ago and it's really a nice meter. Let's check it out. Of course, because we have VU and peak, but not just that, if we have more instances of the TG plugin in anywhere of our mix, we can bring them up right here. And that is awesome. And not just that though, like all the Waves plugin, they tend to look a little bit not so good, but look at this one. Looks great. I really enjoyed this plugin, but you know, again, the same problem. I don't have the layout that I would like to use, which is sort of like that vertical array, which takes me to my last plugin. And I don't want to get to that plugin without first mentioning like honorable mentions, so to speak. First and foremost, the FreeBX by the good people in Plugin Alliance. That is a great meter. My only gripe with it is that I don't really like the way it looks. It doesn't even use like the whole plugin window. So it's like you have the plugin and then a bunch of gray. I don't know, I just didn't like it. And then another one that I don't have right here and I cannot show you is the SPL Hawkeye. That looks to be like an amazing suite of meters and like histograms. You can even check the quality of the music in like a digital kind of terms. like the bit depth, the sampling rate, oversample clip,
All these kinds of things.
but very quickly I realized that aesthetically, it's just not the plugin that I want. And then the third meter that I wanted to show you, but I didn't, is the Flux metering suite. Honestly, those meters look amazing and they work really well. I remember having it, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago or more. And I love the way they look, how much customization you have, all the information that they're providing you. I even like the possibility of actually having a plugin in your session and then just having the meters displayed somewhere else. Not only sparing my main computer from the resources, but giving me a little bit of a bigger screen that is not interfering with anything else in my computer. So that's awesome. But I don't know if it's M4, I don't know if it's Sequoia, I don't know what it is, but the latest versions they have, for some reason they don't work. Hopefully they can come up with a fix for this, because maybe that will be the ultimate meter, but I cannot say that right now. Let's end it right there and go check the plugin that I think might be my solution, and hopefully maybe it might be yours. All right, so now let's check DECIBEL by PROCESS.AUDIO. And this is like the main interface of the plugin, and this is just like default preset. But let me tell you, this one has a ton of different presets or layouts. Let's check what it does. And this is just like I said, the default layout. And we have, of course, like real-time analyzers, VU meters, peak meters, this they call the stereo cloud, then a correlation meter, this thing they call, I don't know, true peak meter, true dynamic. And then there's a ton of different kind of like LUFS things that you can like browse through. And you would be saying like, but this is way too much, right? At least I was. But then you start checking all these layouts and just browsing through them, and instantly you see like, there's like so many different permutations of the same thing. Huge VUs, like everything you want. And look, even like VUs can look different. Like you're not even stuck to that like super modern look. You can do horizontal too, you see? That's amazing. It even has a histogram too. See, more VUs. And you can tell that in these VUs, they're calibrated to -12, where then the other ones we were at -14. But that's super easy to change. You just go right here in calibration and you just type -14, where it says VU. And then the LUFS meter has a different calibration. And then you can set the keys that you're looking at your real-time analyzer. So now we're going to go back to 14. So now we're going to have this VU react in 14 dBs. Much closer to what we were looking at before, which was like around 0, right? Then we have all these different versions. Of course, surround, whatever you need, they have it. And then you start seeing like there's different layouts that I start thinking, maybe I can make this thing work in my favor and just do what I wanted it to do. So of course I started looking to all these different presets. And then I found one called Skyscrapers, and I was like, that's interesting. Basically a collection of different meters in the orientation that I need them. But these are all presets, you know, and I can do whatever I want. Very, very cool. And that, for example, that's exactly what I want. But let's say if we put it here, I kind of want to say that it takes a little bit too much real estate almost. But then I kept looking at the skyscraper thing. And I was just like, okay, this is very interesting. It has a lot of what I maybe want. Even that, like, look, who wants to read just numbers? I don't know, not me, but somebody else maybe. Or maybe, because this plugin has that ability too, that you can put it in different screens in your network. So maybe you want to have a screen that you only have that. Maybe that's a good usage for it. But then what I ended up doing is like I did my own little layout called JL Beta. And basically it's just a very simple VU meter, simple RTA, peaks, and simple things. And it's just that right now I have the demo version of this, of course. And I did a lot of like the colors and all that stuff, but it didn't save. I don't understand why. And I did it twice thinking that it was my mistake, but I guess it's part of the limitations of the demo. And then one of the things that I want to say, like the drawbacks of this is like, it sort of looks a little bit dull. It's not like super bright, but I can edit that on post and that's okay. That's no problem. I'm talking for the videos, right? But then what am I doing? Like in my videos, what I'm going to do is this. And all of a sudden you see how there's a lot less real estate being used compared to the skyscraper version, right? And I can do this no problem. But then this brings me to sort of like my main concern about this plugin. And it's not about the metering itself, but it's about the layout and the way it looks. But I can do, for example, I can take the gradient off, and then that helps me in this way that you can see exactly where the numbers are changing. And let's say I could, for example, set it -18 to go to orange, and then it changes at -18. And that is cool. That's exactly what I would like to do, right? But then that is not the whole issue. Because what I would really like is that, you know, when I have it right here in this corner, I could change the resolution of this, like a, I don't know, like a plus or minus or like a zoom button, something, so that maybe I can just focus on the levels that I care the most. Because, for example, look how much real estate I have wasted here. I wish I could just zoom maybe in this last, I don't know, 30 dBs. I don't need to always go to -infinity. And that's the main reason why I really like this Doro meter, right? It's just basically showing you from -39, but then it shows you every dB. And I feel like that zoom is sort of like in a sweet spot, because most of the work that I do, it's like around maybe like -20, -18. And then when you start adding things like a whole drum kit or like a bass on top of that drum kit or like different guitars or layers or whatever, you start getting to this kind of like sweet spot of like -15, -14, at least in my way of doing the gain structure. So this meter just like looks perfect for me. And that's where I feel like Decibel sort of like falls short in that matter, right? Because I don't want to be looking at all this. I want to be looking at this. So it would be great if I can just put it in that whole section. And if I were to have every decibel read over here so that I always know exactly where I am. Not like, oh, -18. No, I know that I'm on -14 over here. You know what I'm trying to say? That would be great. Just by hitting a glance, knowing exactly where I am. At least for the purpose of the videos. For everything else, this meter is sick. Not only because it has everything that you might need, but for example, in my particular case scenario, in my mix template, where I'm going to be watching my own gain structure, the first plugin in my master bus, or in my mix bus, or in my two bus, whatever you want to call it, is going to be a VU meter. And I've been using the Waves one, and it works perfectly, but it doesn't look great. So I think it, you know, if the plugin includes it, I'm happy to have it, right? This one looks great. I feel like I was sort of like liking this better. I can make it small in my screen and just like tuck it in a corner and start doing all my gain structure and making sure that I'm doing everything right. Like, and be like, okay, I got my drum set right here. I'm like, okay, I'm like around -7, -8, -6. Let's add the bass. Great, we're rocking. I like that. You know what I mean? And that is great. That would live there, doing my work and pulling up some plugins and always have that meter be there. That would be the way that I would be using it pretty much. And of course, the peak meter, a must have for me. And like I was saying, for the channel, but in this case, I think I'm still going to be using the Doro meter for like the simple, just like peak meters. But for everything else, when I actually want to see like different frequencies and how things look, I am definitely gonna be using Decibel. So let's go get a few conclusions. All right, my friend. So there you have it. Meters
galore.
I know that there's not a one size fit all, but out of everything that I could check, I feel like maybe this Decibel by PROCESS.AUDIO was like the thing that kind of like got the closest. It looks cool. I trust the weighting just because, I don't know, just by looking at the ballistics of the meters, it makes me feel safe. It sort of like looks like the way that other meters that I trust look like. And that gives me a lot of reassurance. I wish and I hope and maybe somebody that I know or somebody watching this video knows anybody in the PROCESS.AUDIO crew, and they can tell them that thing about having a little bit of a zoom in what they're calling the RMS meter, which I'm calling the peak meter, just so that I can focus on the range that I really care about. Maybe like the Doro meters are doing from like -40 to 0, or maybe +1, +2, +3, in case you're having like overshoots from oversample clipping or something like that. I feel like that would be super, super neat. But if you add up all the things that it has, every single meter you can imagine, tons of layouts that might work for you, the ability to put it on another gadget, on another screen, probably even on another TV, you really can't go wrong with a meter that basically has it all. For everything else, there's all these other meters. And I wanna stress it again, the BX meter for free. It's a great meter if you don't need it to look really, really great. Because let's be fair, it's ugly. But I'm starting to talk too much, my friend. I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section down below. And remember, while you're there, like, subscribe. If you can financially support me, smash that super thanks button right there. I thank you so much. And if you have some more time to watch another video with me, go watch this one right here, my friend. I'll be waiting for you right there. And I thank you so much for coming here today.